Why is identity management for your remote workers important? Let's talk about that today, shall we? Hello and welcome. My name is Zachary Heinel, and from Dorado Defense, we're talking about identity management specifically for your remote workers. So these are your workers that live cross-country, live internationally perhaps. They work for your business providing a service, whether that's accounting, IT, augmented staffing. It adds a layer of complexity for you and your business. You have particular security concerns that are related to remote workers that you might not often see with your traditional workers that come into your office. So if you go back 10, 15 years, the norm was in office, you knew everybody around you. You knew the guy that was in front of you, behind you, down the hall, what they did for the business traditionally, unless you were for a very large corporation. You knew that, okay, that's Bill, that's Joe, that's Susan. They work in accounting, IT, you had relationships with those people. And you still do with your remote workers, but it's harder to know when and what the norm is for those people to work. So you already knew Joe. He worked a standard 9 to 5. It was very rare that he worked past 5 p.m. Well, you might not know that for your new remote worker that works over in Florida. So talking about identity and access management related to remote workers, having that established baseline of what the norm is puts your data further at risk. When we talk about least privilege, if people should only be able to do the most that just their job needs, but it's also about when their job needs it done. So contextually, if I know that Joe should only work a 9 to 5, I've known him for 10 years and he has never worked a single night in those 10 years, it's very odd to find him logging in or working at, say, 2 a.m. in the morning. So remote workers make this more of a challenge because you now have a diverse set of time zones that you have to consider, and you don't know the norm for that person. Not at least yet, if they're relatively new. You might discover that, and you might rely more on your HR process. But this is part of the reason why identity management is important for remote workforce. It's so that you know when a user should be working and what they should be working on. So that way your security operations and your technology infrastructure team can kind of come around and make that experience either better or tighten security around when certain groups should be working, and if we find odd activity outside of the normal working times for those users, perhaps we should pay attention to that. If you have any questions or additional comments on why identity management is important for remote workers, drop a comment, or if you want to talk to me, reach out at doradodefense.com. Have a great day.